The third item on the agenda is the oral report of the general manager. There are public comments on this. Did you want to take those now?
There are public comments on Brenda's report.
That's correct.
She hasn't given me the report yet. People are, for all you guys who are using like, you know, telepathy or, yeah.
It's intended for after.
Right, no, I know. I'm impressed that you knew to put a placeholder.
How to watch what you're thinking.
Okay, so we'll go on to the general manager's report.
Okay. So today at 1 o'clock, the Budget and Finance Committee will resume their hearings on the 2014-15 budget. There are two items for the department that still need to be addressed and will be addressed today. One is our request for additional food and medical funding to the total of $240,000. That is so we have enough food to feed all the animals and so that we have the medical supplies we need to continue to increase the in-house spay neuters. There's also another item which is restoring one deleted clerk typist authority, and that's $53,000. And that's very important because sometimes we have so few staff that we are jostling from shelter to shelter to even be able to get a shelter open. So loss of that position is critical. The Bullbook signing event was Saturday morning. The mayor was pleased to sign the legislation. Councilmember Koretz, former mayoral aide Jim Bickard, Sheree Shankar, Elizabeth Dole, and others were in attendance. The ordinance takes place January 2017. The May 6th ribbon cutting for the new ASPCA Spay Neuter Clinic at the South LA Chesterfield Square Shelter was a big success. They had started doing spay neuters, but this was the official grand opening. Thank you to the commissioners who attended. It was nice to see you all down there. In addition, Matt, the president of the SPCA, in addition to Matt, the new president of the ASPCA, well, I guess he's almost a year there now, isn't he? No, he's not too new. We had Councilmember Parks, Deputy Mayor Doan Liu, and a representative from Assembly Member Sebastian Ridley Thomas's office. Channel 7 was there and ran a brief spot on the local news that night, and I think you saw all of the clippings. Thank you for sending me the ones I missed. You had about 3 times as many as I had. So we were very well covered for that event, and we're very excited for the services that are going to be offered in South LA. And their goal is to do 4,000 spay neuters in the first year, 6,000 in the second year, and to expand that to include some services, veterinary care for low-income people to help them keep their companion animals. And they're also working closely with the shelter intervention program. So we're excited. Regarding the rabbit case that we've all been following, I'm sorry that Ms. Lynn left. We had another unscheduled inspection, I think it was Monday, and when the officer arrived, the rabbit owner was in the backyard caring for the rabbits. The officer observed and counted 42 rabbits housed in separate cages with fresh food and water. The cages were clean. No rabbit was observed to be sick or injured. And the owner is still planning to find new homes for the rabbits as he will be moving. Now, at the point that we said that the case was closed was because the owner was working with us, was cleaning up the situation, had cleaned up the situation. We no longer felt that it was a situation that in order for the health and well-being of the rabbits that we had to go in and take them. So we continue to work with him. We continue to have unannounced inspections. Where he placed the rabbits between that took him down to 42, I don't know. We had not seized them. He placed them. So we do not know where he placed them. And there would be no reason that he would have to necessarily tell us that. The zoo vet RFQ went out that you directed us to release for the qualifications regarding wild and exotic animal veterinarians. It was released on April the 9th. Responses were due on the 23rd. Notifications were sent to the AVMA, American Veterinary Medical Association, California Veterinary Medical Association, of Zoo Veterinarians, Humane Society, Veterinary Medical Association, Association of Zoos and Aquariums was not responsive to our phone calls. The RFQ was posted in the Daily Journal, our website, the city's procurement clearinghouse, Los Angeles Business Assistance Virtual Network. We received no responses. Therefore, we will have to release the bid to provide these vet services to the 4 qualified vets who are on our list from last year. The bid document will be released this week.
I'm sorry, can you clarify? We didn't receive any responses at all.
No, we have the responses that we had on file from last year. Does that 4 include the one who passed away?
No, it doesn't.
Okay, so there were 5 on file, 1 has passed away. And so we have 4 that we'll go back and ask them to bid for bids.
And just timing-wise, when does the circus come to town?
They have not notified us yet that they want a permit this year unless it's happened in the last 24 hours, but it's usually in July.
Yes, the website states July 7th or so, first week of July.
They're not applied for their permit. But they have been notified that their documents need to be in well in advance. So if they do want to apply for a permit, they've been put on notice that they need to start the ball rolling. The cooling, some of these are just questions that commissioners have asked, so I'm just going to let you know where we are on some things. We talked about a cooling off period for owner surrenders, and the board requested a report on this issue. Sort of should there be a cooling off period after an owner surrenders an animal before they can adopt again? There was a concern that some people turn them in and adopt again the same day. So at this point, I've collected data from the neighboring localities and posted the question on the Society of Animal Welfare Administrators listserv and have gotten input from the ASPCA. We have not had time to write a board report, but that will be forthcoming. It will be scheduled. The responses have ranged from saying they'll never get another animal from us again to, no, they're going to get an animal somewhere, anyway. So it'll be a good discussion for you guys because I didn't get a clear answer from the people I've polled. But that will come back as a board report. The transport recommendations from former commissioners Jensfold and Lisa McCurdy were incorporated into the New Hope procedures. And I think we passed these out to you at one of the meetings. If not, John made some more copies for today, but they are now in the New Hope policies. The New Hope, one of the changes in the New Hope policy and procedures was to have the animals under 35 pounds remain in the shelter over the weekend so the public would have an opportunity to adopt from us rather than from the rescues. It's really too early to say anything about a trend because this is just starting. It does appear that our adoptions are up, over same time last year, but it's a little hard to say. I can tell you that people from the mayor's office and some of the city council members have been glad to see us make this change. When we report on Wolfstat, we report live save rate. We show how many adoptions were made by the department, and then everything that goes to Best Friends, New Hope, or as returned to owner or whatever is listed as a live release. It's clear on the reports what is an adoption from the department. And although I haven't honestly looked at it, but Dara has put the actual Wolfstat report up on the website now.
I think some of the issue is the reports that have been on the website, which aren't the Wolfstat reports, lump all of the best friend transfers in under adoption. So you don't even see best friends.
Right.
You just see New Hope polls, and then you see adoptions.
On your monthly report, it's not like
right,
that.
But I think
and that's where
I think what we're hearing from the public is when they look at the website and they look at the statistics, it looks you can't tell which animals are the best friends.
So now you can see the Wolfstat reports, which give you that.
Yeah, I think we want to have maybe when we talk about data and reporting, discussion about what to do with the reports that are on the website.
Yes, those reports are very old, I think, and they're kind of difficult. You have to combine them yourself with an Excel spreadsheet to really say anything. Okay, the SNP LA vaccination clinic agreement is completed. They agreed to the recommendations made by the commission, including having paid Spanish-speaking outreach coordinator and using the county's public health maps to target service areas. So thank you for those suggestions. The board report was transmitted to the mayor's office. They have forwarded this proposed agreement to the office, to the CAO's office for a report. And once he transfers that back to the Personnel and Animal Welfare Committee, the Paul Committee, there will be a final action on that.
Does that, just for clarification, does that come back to us at all?
It won't come back
No.
to you.
Okay.
No. But it went with your suggestions. And you can, of course, go to the Paul Committee and give testimony.
The other thing is I actually met with SNP LA about a month and a half, 2 months ago, and they agreed to all the recommendations, and so the only issues would have been if they had not in particular areas that we would have brought that back. But since they conceded on all the major points, we went forward and submitted that to the mayor's office.
Feline outings at the Harbor Shelter, it's barely underway. They're still getting some of the cages they need set up. We did work with them and came up with a data collection agreement so that they can track their data for how much progress they're having. And we'll start getting reports back from them when they have some results. Owner surrender fees, we asked for the $25 owner surrender fee. As a GM, I'm not allowed to waive this. Waiving or changing the fee would require city council approval. That's an asset. Some New Hope partners allege that owners are throwing dogs out on the streets. We don't really have proof of this. We believe that staff is categorizing some of the pets as strays rather than owner surrenders, and that way they waive the fees, because we're really only collecting about 69% or less of the owner surrender fees if you count everything. So I don't know where we want to go with that, but this is just information back. Breeding permits discussion. This seems to be confusing to everyone. $20 altered animal, $100 breeder's license if you meet one of the exemptions. If you don't meet one of the exemptions, you can buy your way out with the breeder's permit. This is not what we sent forward. It's not what the commission sent forward. It's not what the Paul Committee sent forward. We sent forward much stricter guidelines, and when it came back from the city attorney's office, it came back with those considerations. I believe that there is an interest in revisiting this. But this is not, the department does not take responsibility for this loose law. And neither should the commission or the Paul Committee. The Paul Committee report back on spay and neuter programs. John is finalizing this week. You've asked about it. Paul Committee has been canceled and rescheduled due to budget things. We believe it's going to be on the May 20th Paul Committee meeting, the report back on spay and neuter. If you want to be there for it, we will provide copies to you and give any kind of report you would like to have as well. The release of unsterilized animals, if the adopter or redeemer claims that they live outside the city, we might want to have Jan come in and talk about how she counsels and trains the clerks. If they prove that they have an ID or a driver's license or an ID that says they live outside the city, we have not felt that we had jurisdiction over them. I don't know if we can recommend an ordinance that says that any dog visiting the city that's impounded must be spayed or neutered. I don't know. I mean, if they're over 30 days, they're not visiting. They're here. Okay? I mean, I know that piece of the law. But I don't know, so that's something we could look into, but that's sort of where we get stuck. There have been a couple of cases that I can think of within the last year.
Yeah, and if Jan does come back, she should provide the board with the context of the problem. We don't know if this is happening every day or if it's happening, once a month, but I think that would be important if we want to make any changes, just to know what the scope of this particular problem is.
We have not prepared the report on the biodegradable dog waste bag. That's still something that's an agenda item that's upcoming in the future. Applications for new HOPE coordinators closed and 3 positions were chosen. There's not a pay differential. There's just a little bit difference if they do in their job because they want to. Veronica Perry will be at East Valley, Tiffany Hamilton will be at North Central, and Samantha Westbrook at South LA, Chesterfield Square. So those will be the coordinators, and they will help with the smaller shelters too that are closest to them, in addition to the large shelter that they're working out of. The No-Kill Super Adoption Weekend was a success. For us, that whole weekend, including at the Super Adoption and in our shelters, we had 218 adoptions. 125 were from the Tar Pits, the Best Friends event, and at the end of the day, Best Friends took 39 animals, so we had 164 total from that event, which was a nice day. We have a number of physical things going on. King Wire is working on the covers at the harbor. I think they're almost finished. They're working on a punch list on that. The Bureau of Engineering is drilling soil samples at North. We ran into some problems there for the new construction. So they took samples down to 90 feet in front of the public parking lot, trying to determine, that was a fill area, trying to determine what type of underground waste is there, if any, because that can impact construction there. The North shelter washer and dryer does not work consistently. They're small dryers, small washers and dryers. They're like the biggest home version you can get, but we can't put anything bigger in there because we don't have the electricity or the space. And that'll all change out with the new construction. We have new dryers on the way, but we do have a challenge there. So one of the things that we're going to do is use a little bit of money out of the Animal Welfare Trust Fund if we need to do laundry in between. I can authorize only up to $5,000. If it's going to be more than that, I'll have to come back to you. But just in order to keep the bedding clean and sanitary there, we've checked into some of the vendors that could provide that kind of service for us. The Pets 90210 filmed yesterday at North Central. KNBC aired a wildlife ride-along. I hope you all saw it. They went out and rode along with our wildlife team a couple of nights, maybe 3 or 4 nights, and some really good clips and footage. We posted them all on Facebook, on our Facebook, so if you didn't see them, take a look, and making a case for protecting all critters. We have impounded 24 roosters and 1 horse in North Hills on May the 6th. The horse just happened to be there and he was injured and no one claimed him, so we took him in because he was injured. And I think probably no one claimed him because he was injured. But anyway, so you probably saw the press release on that. We have been working very hard with emergency preparedness citywide. We have a published list of the chain of command, and we will be having the department present on that very soon. Also, Dr. Krubus does attend the WFSTAT meetings. I don't know where you get your information sometimes, but he goes every time. And people don't understand the red list. We don't always know how many. Sometimes you go to the shelters and you'll see the line back down the street, and you'll see people waiting in line to leave animals at one of the shelters. So the red list for every animal is the same. That means that we give that animal at least 48 hours before they are on the list that they could be humanely euthanized if we run out of space. We feel no obligation to kill them after 48 hours if we still have space in the shelter. But it is our list that lets the rescues know, please help these first. These will be the first ones that we euthanize if we run out of time. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, that was how I understood the red list work. It's kind of a heads up to rescue organizations, and also regarding the fact that one of the commenters left, I just encourage people, when you come up to speak for public comments, one of the reasons we moved the general manager's report earlier in these meetings is so that people can have a chance to get some of the benefit of the information that the general manager is presenting. And it's a little odd or bewildering when people make comments and then they leave. Commissioner Rose.
So, question maybe for next report. You raised the issue with the website, and I know the challenge is there, but maybe you could report on where we are with that, whether any money was in the budget, and also I think because there's so much public concern about the website that before we move forward with it, we get public input on things that the public would like to see on that. I think that would help us in developing and updating that website, because I think we really need to move on that.
Right, but we certainly can take content suggestions. It's pretty impossible to develop a website by committee.
Right.
But we will definitely report on that, and I think we'll have some good news with a new staff person starting by then.
Great.
And just one other thing I noted, you mentioned we impounded 24 roosters, and I saw the press release, but do you want to say anything more about?
There were 10 people arrested, which was huge. So we did it in conjunction with LAPD. They went in, they arrested the people, we took the roosters and the horse. And that's the way we divided up. In a situation like that, the roosters are usually, many of them are injured already.
In the situation we're talking about here, there was cockfighting.
There was definitely cockfighting. They had their razor blades tied on their, I mean, it was pretty bad. People went and saw it. So those roosters are humanely euthanized. Now, when they do have other chickens around or young ones, we don't automatically do that. We've started placing the hens.
Were any roosters, did any roosters survive?
Well, we humanely euthanize them if they do. These are fighting cocks.
So all of them were put down. And then the 10 who are being held are going to be prosecuted by the city attorney or the DA's.
Right.
Just one other clarification. You had mentioned that there are long lines at the clinic. Is that certain times of the month? Are they regular, or it's just whenever?
And it's like they've suddenly discovered South LA.
So it's mainly in South LA?
Well, the lines have gotten longer down there. We have space at some of the shelters, so they're transferring from shelter to shelter. I think there is a seasonal aspect to it, particularly with puppies and kittens, and we're starting to move into the puppies and kittens now with a vengeance. You know, usually after the first of the year, January, February, it's a little bit of a lull at the shelters. But sometimes you just go there and there's a line of people just waiting to surrender.
Anything else? Okay, so we have public comments.
We have Phyllis Doherty up first and Sue Taylor on deck.
Okay. For this session, we do 2 minutes each.
Phyllis Doherty. Just so you know, I want you to know that with game animals, game fowl, the hens are just as precious as the males to the breeders and the fighters. The females provide the gameness, the intent to fight, and that's how that's determined. The males determine basically the stamina and the strength and the fighting style of the bird. So you want to just adopt out the females because the breeders love this. I mean, they've got plenty of roosters. It's getting a really good game female. It's a lot harder to get. So I just want to comment on the having to beg for food and medical supplies and one clerk. This department, we're struggling with 39 officers or so out in the field to cover this entire area, 469 square miles and 4 million people. The county covers approximately the same number of people, larger areas spread out, but still the districts are divided. We have 6 shelters. And they have 154 officers out there, and it's no problem to get the budget for that, because it is emphasized that these are public safety officers. They're out there to protect the public and the animals, contrary to humane officers, which only protect animals. The animal control officers has a dual responsibility: protect animals from people and people from animals. And the city council is willing to give money when they think it's needed. The problem is, we're telling them there's no problem. Best Friends is adopting them all out. We've got it all taken care of. These interceptor programs, if we're not following up on them, those animals are going to be dumped in the street. There's an increased hatred for this department out in the community. You need to know that, because when people go into the shelter now, when you've got the interceptors, they're told, you don't want to leave it here, they kill it. Rather than that everybody's working together on this. So they won't bring them back. They'll dump them somewhere else. If they take them to a county shelter, they'll dump them in the street. So just, if we want more, if we want better, more money given to us, we need to show the need for it. And if any city has a need for it, for officers and for the street work, it's us.
Thank you.
Sue? After Sue, we have Dan Gus.
Sue Taylor, Actors and Others. One of the, I guess, benefits of being old is remembering a lot of stuff. So I just thought I would bring you some history to all of that. First of all, with the $20, $100 for licenses, that actually was determined by the mayor's office and the city attorney, that that's how that ordinance had to go through. Because I worked with Dove and Fleiss, and we worked on all that. I didn't like that in there, but that's how come it went in. It's because the mayor's office and the city attorney decided that was the only way it was going to get in. As to coming back after they've dropped off an animal, I've been saying for at least 15 years with others that it really needs to be something. It doesn't, even if it's the next day, don't let them go back and get another puppy that time, make them come back the next day. Because if they have to come back, they may come back, but there's a good chance they won't come back because they're there. It's the convenience thing. Also, with regard to the $25 that you charge for people, we see some of the results of that, again, going back to our medicals where people can't even afford flea medicine, or their medicals, they can't afford to have their animal fixed, so they decide they're going to euthanize it because the animal's suffering. But they can't afford the euthanasia because that's expensive. So they decide to take it to the shelter. Well, the shelter wants $25. They're not going to do that because it's too much money. And then, in the past previous management has done everything they could to not encourage people to bring their animals in. There were big signs, don't bring your animals or what, and we went through a period of time, because we had the calls at our office, that when the people were bringing the animals in, they were being charged with cruelty. They say, if you leave this animal here, we're going to have to charge you with cruelty, because look at this animal. You know, there's only one reason that this animal is like it, is because you were cruel to it. So now they take the animal away again. So I don't know where these animals were going, but they're ending up on the street. They're ending up somewhere just simply dying and suffering, and I'm going back again to responsible care for the animals.
Daniel, Gus, you can't have apples to oranges comparisons for your statistics. The turn-in fee does impact statistics, and you can't look at them and say, pre-turn-in fee, post-turn-in fee, it's the same thing. There's a problem with that. Regarding the circus, why don't you cut off Ringling Brothers at the pass? Go to the mayor's office and have them invite one of the circuses that don't have animals at all. Cut them off at the pass. Invite somebody who doesn't, and there's, you know how many international circuses there are that don't have any animals? The hell with Ringling Brothers, let the market forces deal with them. Go to the mayor's office. Let's get on the same boat. Let's get on the same team for this, for God's sakes. Cut them off at the pass. The West Valley shelter has had, I think, several dozen evidence animals there for about a year. Can we find out why that's not on GMs? Brenda can fill you in on that because she's nodding her head. Let's find out why those animals are there for so long, and isn't there a better solution? Maybe using the media, some way to get these evidence animals out of West Valley and possibly other shelters. When you say that, Commissioner Zaft hit on it, when you say adoptions are up, you can't say adoptions are up and not completely do a reset on past claims that we've had about adoptions. If you say adoptions are up, you have to unwind the claims, whether it's intentional, as I believe, or unintentional, as Commissioner Zaft believes. You have to explain to the public and unwind what past claims about adoptions were, and how about formally defining what's an adoption. To me, does the animal have a chance of sleeping in somebody's bed that night? Are they going to pick up popcorn on movie night? That's what an adoption is, not one cage for another. Please consider formally defining an adoption.